Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Curry Parker, and I'm so excited to be interviewing Gayla Gates today, who's going to be sharing with us a little bit about what she's up to. For those of you who have not had the privilege of meeting Gayla yet, she has a really interesting human design story, and I love to share it because I think it's so interesting when we watch the journey of how someone learns about who they are, finds their human design, and begins to integrate this new way of being in the world that sometimes causes us to make some pretty radical changes, right?
Absolutely.
So Gayla's, you're originally, this is the part that I think is so fascinating. You were a doctor, is that right?
Yep. Medical physician.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of doctoring did you do?
Family practice for 10 years.
And you're a projector?
I am a projector, a non-motorized projector.
Okay, so all right, in the cultural dialogue that we have, and I'll say this as a Jewish mom, right? As a Jewish mom, it's like the goal is get your kids to become a doctor, right? And so you we're living what many of us would define as like the ultimate path to success, and yet you said, no, I'm going to go be a shaman. Talk to me about the process between being a family practice physician, traditional doctor, to saying, I gotta go be me. How did you get there? And what was your decision-making process?
Yeah, I mean, my decision-making process, I believe, was made for me. Many ways, I just knew that there was more to healing than taking a pill. And I was sitting across the seat from so many people who weren't really getting healing results. And we were putting Band-Aids on big problems. And being intuitive by nature, I could always sense that there was more. But in 15 minutes, it was very difficult to actually help get to the root of the problem. And that's always been my biggest interest. Even before I went into medicine, I wanted to help people with their emotions and their emotional pain. But I knew psychiatry wasn't going to work for me, although I had that opportunity to do a double board in family medicine and psychiatry. I said, I don't really think that's right for me either. Mm-hmm. But I knew I wanted to help with emotional health in some way. So interestingly enough, my own emotional health was at risk. And it's funny, in medical school, where most people think that that's the hardest part, was actually the best part for me. Mm-hmm. The hardest part was working.
Oh, interesting.
It was. The hardest part was the daily routine, the seeing, 17 to 20 something patients a day, go, 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 go. That's when my burnout really started happening, was when I started really being in full-time, or even a part-time schedule for doctors felt like full-time to me. Mm-hmm. And I just hit the wall. And I just said, this isn't working for me, and it's not working for our patients. So I, at the same time that happened, at the end of the experience, my mother had actually got diagnosed with a very aggressive lung cancer, and they gave her a 9 months to live type diagnosis. So I took care of her. At the same time, I was contemplating leaving. Mm-hmm. And then after I came back, I felt different. Like after she passed away, and when I got back into practice, I didn't feel like myself anymore. And I just started asking, what's next? What's next? And I decided to take a leap of faith to take care of myself. I had gotten really, really, really overweight, and I was just miserable. I had no energy anymore. And around that time, I learned I was empathic. So I was absorbing everybody's energy over the last however many years. And that was really how I decided to take a leap. It was a lot for myself, but also for the overall system. I knew we needed to make some changes.
So I think your experience, although, as I said, you were in a field that I think a lot of people really define as a successful field, mm-hmm. A field where people who are intelligent and really want to, really help people go. You were in this field, you were following all the rules, fitting into the definition of the box, if you will, and checking off all the boxes. And you didn't look up one day, you struggled to get through one day and said, okay, that I can't. That's not an an untypical story that I hear a lot from projectors, especially no motors projectors. How hard was it for you to walk away from that identity as a successful physician?
Yes, very, very, very difficult. It took me about 2 years to really start contemplating that it was a change, because I felt like it was a death. It was the death of who I thought I was going to be. Ever since I was a child, I knew I was going to be a healer, and being a doctor was just the natural progression of that process in our world. But then it was like, no, you're going to be another kind of healer. I was like, that's not where your secret sauce lies. You're really designed to be more of an energy healer. And that lit me up once I learned more about it and said, that seems like that may be more me. And it just sort of started coming to me, just like when you ask questions, be ready, because the answers are coming in unexpected places.
All right. So you said, okay, I'm done being a doctor. How did it evolve that you said, now I'm going to go be a shaman and I'm going to coach people through difficult transitions and help them figure out how they can live true to themselves and get out of the box? What was the progress between, okay, I'm not a doctor anymore, now I'm going to do this thing over here?
Yes. So the hardest part was really leaving the colleagues, leaving some of our troop members, our beloved doctors behind. But I realized that I was actually paving the way. So one of the things I've learned about my design is I'm sort of the one that gets out first and then helps others, figure it out. And so it made sense when I reflected back. But for about 3 years, I was in a little depression. I was in a grief, and I started actually coaching. I hired a friend who also happened to be leaving and had left. And she started coaching me. She started life coaching me, and we both sort of walked this process together. And then the main question that got me into studying shamanism was, how do we heal ancestral trauma? I mean, that's the question I asked the universe, is how can we heal this trauma that's happening in our families over and over again? And that's what came to me. It's like you heal it in the energetics. You can't heal it in the body and in the world where we are right now in this powerful way. You're meant to heal it in the other realms. So that's what happened. And I actually started studying, and I've been in the program now. I'm almost done. In about another month, I'll be done. But the people that we've already been working with have been getting major transformations. And the other thing I'll share with you too about shamanic work is it's really more about the healer. Like it's really more about my journey and what I needed to heal than it is about others. So we become wounded healers.
Totally. Well, and I think, I talk a lot about not so much the shamanic journey, but the quantum physics of healing. And, I always teach my coaches that you're usually like a nano step ahead of your client, because they need you, as you just said, they need you to lead the way. And how beautiful is it that you bring that very personal experience of having to go through, a really profound release of an old identity and stepping into a true identity, and an identity of your own choosing. I know you'd say you didn't choose it, you got called, I'm sure, but it's also you saying, okay, I'm going to choose to follow the call, because not everybody does. And I think that takes a tremendous amount of courage and a tremendous leap of faith. And I think how powerful is it that really positions you as a coach and as a shaman to really really be able to say with great integrity, look, I know where you're at. I've been there. I've walked that path. That's pretty powerful. So, all right. And I just want to make sure I've got that. You said, okay, not going to be a doctor anymore. You went through this sort of redefinition of who you are. You got called to go become a shaman. You've been studying human design in conjunction with this. Now you've created this really powerful way of integrating and working with people who are probably very similar to you, people who are looking at, I can't do this normal in the box thing anymore, even though by everybody's definition, I'm successful. Inside, I'm not, I'm miserable. I don't fit. And you walk people through that process of, okay, how do you just go up against the wall, lift your leg over and keep going? What's your favorite thing that you love to do with people?
the favorite thing I love is to really hear what they want. What do they really, really want? And for me as well, and for them, is to tap into their worthiness, because that really lights me up, because all roads lead through worthiness is what I always say, because, there's so many people who feel trapped, whether they're, not as much in the medical field, but trapped in their lives and trapped in decisions that they don't think they can get out of or that they can change. So for me, it was more about, what do you really, really want? Mm-hmm. And how can we craft the belief, the thought patterns, and figure out how to create a life that they want? Because the things that I feel like I'm really called to do is to help people create legacies, help people really do big things in the world. So it's not just about healing themselves. It's like, okay, now we're going to go create something to serve in a bigger capacity, whatever that may mean for them. So sometimes it's unlocking that in them and being here as a sacred witness, obviously, and then as a projector, as a guide, to help them get to those things that they really, really, really want to leave. So it's not so much about us as it's about what we're going to be doing for humanity.
I love that. So, okay, so let me reframe this. You're helping people get out of the box. Mm-hmm. You're helping them clear ancestral lineage so that they can really step into creating a legacy of change and a wave of change as we redefine the karma of value and who we are in the world, so that as they step into this healing and this redefinition and this cultivation of a story of their own choosing, they can really do what they came here to do and be who they came here to be, no matter what it looks like.
Exactly. And even for me, the other thing too is they don't have to do it alone.
Right.
I mean, that's really the most beautiful. I didn't have anyone to help me. People thought I was crazy, and I'm a fifth line. So they really were projecting what they thought, it was all glitz and glamour, but I'm thinking I'm struggling here. So to have that sacred place for a person to come and really express themselves and be seen for who they are, and to walk them through that has been my greatest joy, because they don't have to do it alone anymore.
That's powerful. That's very powerful. And we know from research that if you've got a community or somebody who has their hands on your back, it accelerates your transformation exponentially. Mm-hmm. So how can people get in touch with you, Gayla?
The best way to reach me is on social media under Gayla Gates, and it's Gayla Gates on Facebook. And I also am on Instagram at Sister Path Soul, and that's SISTAPATHSOUL.
All right. So find Gayla on Facebook, on Instagram, shoot her a DM, tell her, I'm ready to escape the box, Gayla, get me out. And you're going to get an enormous amount of support and guidance, and you'll be lucky to work with her. Thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.